So let me show you what I did yesterday. I just drew yesterday. I was just looking at longer periods, like where are we in terms of, the positioning on the longer time frames and shorter time frames. And if you gotta look here, I grabbed 2 years, right? From May to current May, 2-3 days apart. We are right at the POC, right? So if they're able to really, if they want to go upside, this is their level. If you guys look here, once they hop over this level, I mean, they're probably going to be targeting the value area high, which should be the 4,400. So breaking this little line that I just drew here triggers that. This is longer time frame stuff. This is not overnight stuff that happened. This is your sentiment. And then obviously we went below this value area. They didn't like it. They bounced it back up. They accepted inside here, and then they went to the POC twice. Last time they came here, they didn't like it. Now they're over it. So now if they can get that push, they could be pushing to 4,400, right? And when you look at the path of least resistance, which way is it now?
Up.
It seems to be up, right? Because you have this giant shelf that was created here. And then, if we drop here, it seems like this level would be kind of the protection 40-40. And once you lose this, I would say probably somewhere around 39, 60s, 50s, you're going to trigger all the way down to 37.88. But overall, the big picture, let me finish, please. The big picture is we're stuck in this huge shelf now that we are in. So you got, obviously, even the candles showed that on the weekly. So here's your 7 days look, and look at this. You're wicking on both sides. You're kind of building the value area here now. And that is the fairest price on the chart is right here, 41.53. And now you guys see the importance of it because that's a 2-year POC, guys.
Hey, Shorty, that 7-day, is that like a week plus 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's business days, so 5 plus 2. And now you guys can see, the importance of this 41.53 level. It's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
The break and retest of it probably leads to 4,400. And here, I mean, on the downside, if you just focus on this, the middle of it, somewhere around 30, call it 39.80 or 39.78 will be potential bounce. And you guys should remember this level right before we exploded. If you guys recall, let me show you. Right here, if you guys just grab the FVP here to this one and don't extend it. You guys remember this level now? Remember they popped over. We said if they reclaim it, they can go higher, and they found the new value area. So this here was your balance, right? This here was your balance. This was your imbalance. This is them. And now they're trying to see, are we going to accept here or not? Last time we came here, we didn't accept, but we're spending a lot of time here. I mean, you're talking much longer here than previously. So about 43 days, 31, bars, 31 trading days are spent in here compared to, here we had 10 bars. So this move is going to be pretty violent here that we have. And if they decide to break it up, well, then you know that it's going to be 4,400. And you don't want to be caught. When they break this, you don't want to be caught on the wrong side. So it's day to day, but you just got to understand the levels that they're kind of coming after, right? But this is a clear consolidation. And now when you guys ask, hey, which date are you picking up for consolidation? It should be clear, right? When I look at the FVP, this is what I'm grabbing. This is a pretty clear consolidations, and people that chart patterns, they might look at this and be like, hey, this is a broadening formation here. And I'm not saying it's not. It just, I don't trade them much, right? I'm not going to short here. If there's no supply there, I'm not going to short it. And now you guys see, why March 30th. Should be a little bit more clear. So if you look at it, so there's the POC again. So now it seems to be, let's go on 1 hour. Maybe shifted down. I don't know if shifted down for you guys. Wow, they extended the second sig a lot.
Your third sig is up there, 41, 98.50, right?
Yeah, I have 97-ish.
Okay.
97.25, but close enough.
That's close enough. Yeah.
And now when you guys look at this, where we are, so I'll just extend this so you guys get the idea. 290. Do you guys know what this 105 means and where it's gonna go?
Yeah, it's the width of your.
I don't know.
So this is your 100%. Wherever you started from, I started here. The 100 it stops right here. So if I was to change this to 100, it's gonna bring it back right to the line of that one. So the last shelf is there. If I wanted to go 110%, it'll be 10% more than the last candle. And there's a 10% more. That's what this means, the numbers. It's the percentage of what you're seeing on the chart, candles wise, and then you're basically saying add 10 more percent so I can see the bodies. That makes sense?
Oh, that's for the nodes, right?
Yep, just so you can extend them. Because to me,
Yeah.
when I'm zoomed in now, I can, much easier trade and know.
Sure.
Look at this shelf now. We are approaching here. This is a pretty good short. Hop over, reclaim, you get 15, 20, 12 points here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And now, so what do you guys think is the critical level for Friday? Oh, I'm sorry, Monday, not Friday. I don't know where I'm at.
Well, you already said it, 53, right?
Well, we gotta hop over this level, which is a prior day POC, and that shelf that you just saw is right there. So let's see. After it comes back. This is the one feature I hate from trading you. So if you look here, look where the prior day PSC was. Look at that. Right where the skinny belly protection is, and then you have the value area high here as well. So it gets congested, but I'm pretty sure if they hop over in this area, let's say they get rejected here, I think this is the move that, if you want to play for 12 points, sure. I think that's quick. But I would base it on this POC on Monday rather than this POC here. Yes, there's a rejection that can happen here, but I'm pretty sure they're targeting this one here. Okay, and then of course you see the value area. So we're close to the SIGs. If we do break this SIG here, this happens really, really quick. There's really no volume in between here to the bottom. So you see here, once we basically break, I just grabbed, let's make sure I'm not extending. And that was. So if you look here now, this is your value area low of this run up here. So if you're able to break that, Probably get 4100 again this test. And then there's nothing here to fix. There's a little bit of volume here. That's where they stopped. Otherwise, they're gonna trigger to go probably somewhere around here, 4092, and then 4077, 4078. There's a VPOC here as well. Okay. And from the profile shapes, right? So you had an engulfing one here. Let me just delete this. And this profile was fairly engulfing, right? This one, and this one. More to the upside, right? So they tried to go again. They didn't even break this high. Now they're making lower highs. They broke this triangle that we had previously, if you don't see it here. And what did they do shortly after? They broke it. They came back for a retest, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So now the idea is that we see the follow through, right? So if you think about, ETH, here's your regular trading hours. You're almost in a unusual D shape, and then on regular, it didn't really change much. Still stays the same. It's kind of like a D shape, with the POC being at the top. They didn't like value below. Obviously, they bought it back up immediately, but it's a little bit of bearish, right? They had the last minute spike. I'm talking about from 2 o'clock to 4. They spiked it, but they're not able to close above the POC, right? If they did close, let's say about 41.40, I would say leaning a little bit more bullish. But here it's a really a neutral close at the moment, right? More bearish, slightly more bearish than if they closed on the bottom and this volume was there. That would have been nice.
Hey, Shorty, why'd you say you're going to use the previous day's POC? Why'd you say that?
Anyone have an idea?
Shelf protection or gap protection. I forget what it's exactly called.
Yep. So let me
Because
ask.
this previous B is in a regular shape one, maybe?
Well, who likes to play? Who likes to play 4 points with high uncertainty that you're gonna reject here?
Okay. So basically, you would use this POC here that you're pointing at if it was a wider range, but because it's such a short range, you just refer to the previous day.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense for me to risk whatever capital I'm gonna have with potential that I go along here and I get smashed here with a giant candle. That's not in my interest, right?
Okay, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
so to go along, to make sure that goes over that POC retest and then up.
And you see here they're stacking them, right? I mean, they're all 3 points apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was confused because
Yeah,
I've
no,
seen
it's a
you
good
use
question. I
previous.
wanted to make sure you guys understand it, so many didn't have the answer. So.
Yeah, I've seen you use the previous day or the latest one before,
Yeah.
but then you switched to the other one, so I was confused by that. Yeah, thanks.
Yep. No, it's a good question.
Thank you, Shorty.
Yeah, good question, man.
Because it's stacking now down. So now if you look at the volume profiles, right? What are they telling you? From, let's say, from here to this. Anyone have an analysis?
They're not accepting any higher or any lower. They're happy trading right there where they're at.
Accumulating.
Value areas are dropping.
Good point. What else?
It looks like they're just accumulating for whatever the next big move is going to be.
Well, they've been accumulating for March 30th,
Yeah,
but in
they've been
particular,
accumulating,
what is
yeah.
it for the 3 days? I mean, this is all accumulation here.
It's a range.
Correct. So we're still definitely in the bracketed market, but what about these 3 days here? Anyone can analyze? So you guys nailed the main points. Any auction past, the previous day value area low caused them to bring it back immediately, right? So you have lower highs on the value areas. If your lower highs are followed with lower POCs, what does that tell you in terms of
We're
buyers and
bearish.
sellers?
Bearish.
We're bearish.
Below the POC.
If you're going up, right? If you're moving up, but the POC is staying below, what does that tell you?
Price is being accepted lower.
Short cover rally.
Sellers are slightly more aggressive.
Sellers are aggressive, but these are just a little bit of cover rallies. They prop them up, they exit.
Yeah.
And then they bring it back down with all the heavy selling, because the heavy selling occurs on the bottom. So they sell off here as much as they can, and then they kind of look to sell here, and then they get little pops, right? You see them, they pop down, they bring it back down, and they sell more.
Yep. Sure.
So, you know, people that see these as breakouts, this is not breakouts. There's excess supply here. Like anywhere around here, there's excess supply right now. Meaning, did anyone think about the example I asked you guys? Think about the car and long-term buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to take a stab at it?
I'll give it a try. So the
Yeah, go
general
ahead.
concept to compare it to like the value areas, like the POC. So if I'm a short-term buyer, or sorry, yeah, short-term buyer, I'd buy near, say, the POC, or sorry, short-term seller, I would sell it near the POC. If I was a long-term seller, I would sell it up by the value area high.
Okay. Who would be in a case scenario of, let's say, what do we say, Toyota, GMC, I don't know which one we covered, whoever it is, who would be the long-term seller in this case of cars?
The dealer,
Are you sure?
the manufacturer, or the
The
dealer.
manufacturer is the long-term seller.
Right.
What is the dealer?
The dealer is the one that
The
facilitates.
market, the middleman.
Now, you guys, who doesn't understand the market auction, I'll give you something where you'll understand it. Let's see, I'll hide this.
The dealer's the one that facilitates.
This
the
is a
transaction.
manufacturer. This is a dealer.
Right.
And then this right here is somebody.
Buyers and sellers.
This is your buyers and sellers. What is this one called? This is your intermediate person. This is your dealer.
Right.
He doesn't hold for a very long time.
It's the middleman.
This guy provides the supply. This guy sells it. And these people, long-term buyers, come in and they're like, hey, I want that Toyota car and I'm going to buy it. And most people, right, most normal people tend to hold the cars longer than a year.
That's your market maker.
This is your market maker, right? He's the one distributing here. So let me ask you a question now. Let's say we enter a little bit of recession and inventory starts. They see their inventory lot, you know, the dealer's lot is getting a little bit of full with cars. What is this guy gonna tell this guy?
Drop the
Offload.
price.
Stop
No.
making so many.
He's gonna tell him, hey, I can't buy as many. I need to get rid of this inventory here. Okay. Well, if this guy's inventory is getting full and this guy is manufacturing cars, what's going to happen to his inventories?
Goes down. It gets all goes up. Goes up.
Well,
If he keeps
he's
making them,
still
they go up.
producing cars, right? But
Yep.
now they got to notice, hey, we don't need any more. This lot is full. Well, now this guy has to offer what?
Discounts.
He offers discounts, and he's like, hey, you know what? That Toyota 4Runner will give you $10,000 rebate for all the new cars that you get, or let's say 2022 models. And this guy's like, okay, well, I have a lot of 2022 models on my lot. I'll offer the discount. It's up to him how much discount he offers.
Right.
If he can offer the full 10,000, dependent how much inventory he's got. If he's like, man, you know, I'll offer 2,500 and I'll see if these guys want to push and buy with a 2,500 rebate. If they don't, then he has another 7,500 to offer in discounts. To see where did the buyers come in, they have to drop the price to lure the buyers back in. And what happens in the stock? Stock goes here, no buyers. They lower the price. You want to hear? No buyers. You want to hear? No, here, and then they drop it, and then their buyers are like, oh, okay, well, this is not a bad deal. I'll start buying. Right.
And they start raising the price.
And then they keep raising the price, right, on the cars, just like it happened in 2020. I mean, some of you guys live in West Coast, right? And you said that Toyota RAV4s were selling for $90,000. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of stupid if you bought that because they're a $30,000 car. Right. So then these guys will offer incentives and discounts for their dealers, and then dealers will pass that on to the long-term buyers. Right. These guys can also become long-term sellers as well. Think about dumpster case and people that don't use cars. Right. There's not a lot of them, but there is a scenario where these guys look to sell to these guys, but they're really outnumbered. At least in the United States, they are outnumbered, right? It's not a regular scenario, not a norm. These guys, plus the box that's sitting to the left of them, are going to mess up the supply chain. If this is your supply chain of parts, if this guy now has to slow down, what does he have to do? He's not going to order what?
Parts, right?
He's not going to order parts. Now the whole cycle, right? So this guy is a producer, right? So he doesn't produce for short term. He's a long time producer, right? Now the long term is impacted, right? So you have the long term producer here, manufacturer, and you have the dealer, right? So these guys really indicate how is it going to happen, right? And in between, you have the people, let's say, that flip cars on the side. I don't know if you have friends or not, but they have, you know, in Georgia at least, they changed some laws that limits that. But basically what they would do is they would buy a car somewhere on the auction, they would look and they would sell it to, let's say, a person, and person finds they didn't like the car. So this guy becomes a short-term buyer, like the guy that wants to flip cars. He flips cars from here, he sells it to here. These guys are fine, let's say something's wrong with the car. They go back and trade it in. They take a short-term transaction from this guy, short seller, to a long-term buyer to a dealer, and then it keeps going in a cycle. And that's exactly what happens in the stock market, guys. You have the long-term buyers, you have those intermediaries like dealers, the locals, they're basically facilitating. Then you have small people like myself and you guys that come in and we just collect the crumbs, right? Hey, let me just flip this here. Let's flip this stock for 10, 15%, and I'll get rid of it. You take 10, 15%, you get rid of it. There's a buyer, long-term seller, whatever the case scenario is. And the cycle just keeps going on. Right. And this applies, I'm pretty sure you could relate this to a lot of things in life. It really comes down to, you know, the supply and demand, everything you do, and everything is an auction process. Once you sit down and you really, really think about it, everything is an auction process. And, you know, when I post those dragon fruits, I don't post them just to post them. It really is an auction process, right? If their inventory is full of fucking dragon fruits, they're not going to keep it at $12. They go they're perishable items. That's even quicker inventory. Cars is not perishable. I mean, it can sit there, lose value and depreciation, right? But
Yeah.
on goods that are perishable, things have to move quicker. Right? Stock, in a sense, you know, there's no aging on it, but there's a demand for it. There's a business aging period, right? If you're not having growth, like let's say Intel, you're not growing, you're not, you know, producing the stuff that people want, you're producing crap chips. What happens? Well, people stay shy away from Intel chips, right? They go to AMD. So the auction process really, really is key for you guys to understand, especially when you're looking at charts and trying to figure out, hey, like what's happening here? Think about it in terms of, you know, auction process and what is really happening. We auctioned here and we failed, right? It was the end of the auction. So somebody was bidding. If you think about the bidding, was like, hey, let's do 41.67. They're like, yep. And they came to the point here. And then what happened on the auction? They're like 41.74. The guy, you know, they get excited. If you ever been in an auction, it's actually fun to go to one. And especially if you trade stocks for a living, you go there, and what does the announcer do when the price is going up?
Buy.
Keeps
He
reporting price.
talks faster and gets excited.
Oh, it's about emotions. He starts going 4,100, 4,500. We got one here, and they start bluffing, and their voice changes, right? And immediately, you notice when it's coming to an end, and then all of a sudden, what does he do? He does it once, twice, three, sold.
So, yeah.
and it's immediate, like, hey, it's sold. So the same thing I told you guys, I went to like a charity auction, and I got charged a couple of grand on my card, and I'm like, man, I didn't like raise my card 15 times. Like I raised it like twice. Like what is going on? Oh, they mistakenly noted me down for 4 times 2,000. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I'm trying to be nice and help these kiddos, right? And here you are trying to fucking rip me off 4 times. I donated 2 grand, not 8. And it's like, come on. But that's, and I'm not saying it's bad, but that, imagine what happens in a, I call the stock market the mafia runs it, right? I mean, it's brutal because you have these big banks that run stuff, you know, there's so much more to this, guys, that our minds can comprehend. Like in the backside of what happens in the stock market is fairly complex. On the front end, you just see up and down. You know, you have so many factors like interest rates. Then you have, you know, the actual quantitative, right? The Greeks come in based on the options. Then you have the depth. I mean, there's too much, right? And everything combined creates this market and the complex formula that we trade. And yet we are able to simplify it to something like whether it's a candle pattern or volume. And then people tell me, yeah, I trade patterns and double tops. You're their first goat, and the sheep that comes to their mind is when they see, oh yeah, I see a double top here, man. It looks like a breakout. They're like, man, this is easy money because they know what you're gonna do. If I knew what you're gonna do and I'm playing against you in chess, who do you think would win? If I knew a step ahead and I know
would?
with 95% certainty you're going to move the queen to a certain spot,
You would win.
I mean, I would checkmate you every time. Right? And that's pretty much what the patterns do, guys. How many times, let's say in the last 30 days, did we say we're buying the bottoms, not selling the bottoms? And look, it worked. For newer people, it works a lot. In bracketed markets, it works a lot. And you see them here bringing fear, and what happens? Look, you get these giant runs every time. And I don't like trading in the middle, and I mentioned that before, just because we're at the fair point, right? This is where a lot of volume is being traded, right? This is where they need to make a move, break this above, retest, go higher, and then, of course, now we're lower, break this level, you visit the bottom. But think about it, we are accumulating for 30 days. People are saying, hey, we're happy trading here and we are creating value. So now the key for us is this being accumulated for value being shifted down or up, right? And that's, you know, that's what you have to read in between, you know, whether, you know, let's say you're using market profile, using TPO counts or whatever that case might be. But now if you look at, I don't know why this one shifts here. Is this what you guys have, 39? On 2 hours? That looks... I'm just not gonna delete that 50.
Yeah, I got 39 earlier.
Yeah, I like the 2 hours because I can actually see the candles. I'll keep both of these because the CPOC on 53 is longer period POC, 2-year POC as well.
I got 39 on a 4-hour earlier.
Okay.
I got 39 on a 1 day even.
Yeah. So it seems like, you know, it shifted, right? And what would that tell you? One way to tell how accumulation is going out, and whoever has time, is that you grab, let's say you grab the area from here. Oh, not that, sorry. Let's say we grab this area right here, and I won't extend it just to see. The POC was at 41.30, right? And if I grab now from here to here, the POC shifted up, correct? So you're seeing that they wanted higher prices, higher value, right? Now, if I go from here to, let's say, here, POC stayed the same. Now, if you come to the final phase here, so now POC is showing, I don't know why it does this. Now it's showing up to be right here. Is that correct? 41. Oh, it's lighting up here. I don't know which one I have. But the POC shifted up, and now it looks like to be shifting down because it's shifting down to 41.39. Just the way when we moved from the beginning, it started shifting up and prices kind of tend to stay up. If you're shifting now down, what are you expecting prices to do?
Drop.
Yeah, the prices should be dropping here. So, and I don't know when nobody knows when is the last piece of accumulation that's coming, right? But so far we are bearish, right? Because of the concept of the POCs, and the POCs are shifting down. You know, if you look at it from 52.39, that means a lot of volume was spent here below. And it might be with this guy right here. And then it might be that, you know, there's some here and here. So there's a lot of volume being kind of sent to the lower prices. So if you're able to break this, whether it was Triangle and retail bought this breakout here, they killed them immediately. They came back for a retest. And if this POC is true here, and I'll test it, 41.39, then we can look to go visit the bottom here again. Okay. Any questions on this so far? Okay, let's look at a couple of tickers, right? I know AMD, well, we usually use AMD for drawing. Okay, that was my alert for shorting. Okay, so let's look at it on daily. So where would you guys start looking at this if you wanted to know where's a good buy? Somebody. I'm not looking to buy the tops and sell the bottoms. I'm looking where's the buy. So listen to the question.
FRVP of the uptrend from the bottom to the top.
Exactly. Well, simple, right? I go here and look what they did here. They popped it all the way to 81 on this. This was the earnings, I believe. So 85 is not a bad buy, but I would not be interested at 85 on this. I just think it's I'll give them this. Let's see. So I think if I could catch some at this level at 73, I would buy, but not with large quantities here. I would buy a little bit there on the pullback, but mainly when I look at the bigger picture is similar level that we had before from this POC. And you see, let me give you an idea that this POC here is the reason why they bounced where they bounced, right? They bounced here because the previous accumulation, if they lose this one, most likely go in 74. And then ideally, I still want to get it in between 60 and 55, which is where they bounced last time. I'm looking to, if I can catch it below 75 or 73-ish and this level here. So 55. And this time I will hold for longer periods of time. And you see here, there'll be about 58, 74. That's the level I'm looking for. Somewhere in between, I would find where to buy on AMD. And 65-ish looks pretty juicy to me. If they give me this gap protection, 67, 65, and then here, ideally, I would buy it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
On Tesla, I mean, I think Tesla's going to flush here soon. So if you guys look at the 7 days right here, what do you guys see here?
SR flip.
SR.
This is a perfect SR flip here. And it did something that we always wanted to do. What is it?
Retest.
It went up and came back down and retesting.
It failed here.
Yep.
It failed here. It's telling me they're not willing to bid the price higher now. So now you're coming here and you're most likely headed. I know it sounds crazy, but yeah, you're headed to like 45-ish.
Wow. Can't believe Tesla's at 45.
Yeah, I can't. They're a fucking car company and doesn't deserve to be here.
Wow.
So $53 is where I'd be interested in Tesla now. the environment changed, right? I mean, the concept of Tesla changed, right? Who got their truck yet? That put the deposit. I have a deposit. Did you guys get your truck yet?
That's been years, right? Since
Oh
they.
yeah.
It's not, oh my
So
God.
I basically funded his ideas and gave him capital, and I never got my product. That's called fraud.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm not bitter about it. I'm just saying it's a car company, and all the other car companies, you know, they're not this high in terms of what they're producing, right? So this is the levels that I'm looking for. You have this one. There's a tiny little shelf here where they bounced, but ultimately, I think 53 would be a great buy for Tesla. And then I could, you know, I could back hold for a little bit if they go to, let's say, this level here. March low was 23. So don't think it can't happen, because people that make absolute statements, it really makes you look like an idiot when it happens.
Hey,
Right.
Shorty, so you would buy long term here to hold long term, or
At
take
53, I would, yes.
and just hold it?
Yeah, I wouldn't sell this for a while.
Okay.
Because remember, I mean, when it bounced at 100, it went 100%.
Yeah.
If I can catch, you know, if we catch it here, and then the idiots that are late, they start buying, right? So you have the concept of the market is that you have people that are innovators, right? They get the first nod of like, hey, this is going to be good. They're right here.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the investors, right? The investors come in and they bought here, like what's her name, Cathy Woods or whatever.
Yeah.
They get a little bit of heads up, they get money, and they buy here. Then they did a test. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna get something, and then they brought it back up here immediately. So they loaded up more, and then this is all, well, this is all hype and retail, guys. I mean, think about this. Tesla from March 20th to here went.
Amazing.
I'm sorry, but what did it do? Like sold cars?
Yeah.
Like that's not normal, right? So eventually it'll come back to the mean, the reversion to the mean as we call it, and this will be around here, 55, and I'll buy there, right? I'll be interested in buying it there. That's my long-term buy in the stock right there. Nvidia, you know, I'm getting a lot of people on, even on Twitter, they're like, yeah, I mean, there's no way that this is gonna go back to, you know, 50s, 80s. I'm like, sure. So here's your March COVID low at 45, right? I'm sure they can't bring it back up there again. And what do you know? Let me extend it here so you guys can see it. Is this what you're expecting to see as you're moving up?
Definitely not. Like no volume there.
Who do you think is buying here?
All retail.
This is you being the liquidity exit for the big boys. Guys, they bought here. Now, what do you hear in fucking earnings call? All you hear is this. This is
Big
them
pump.
creating news, and human mind can say simply, yeah, AI, they're gonna need NVIDIA chips. And okay, so retail is like AI, boom, they go up, and then they see, never mind, the demand for NVIDIA is no longer good. That's what you hear in the news somewhere around here. And they dump it here, and then when they see that there's some resting orders here, stop losses, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna go sweep this, and they're like, hey, but I think we can trigger more volume here. They go down, they come back. If they're short at some point, I'm sure they will be, they switch, and then they drive over time, they go up. If you're buying here right now on the video, you look like this guy right here. You're buying somewhere here, guys. It's just that this one didn't have enough momentum to push it. They don't have AI, even though they should, right? That's what they do. They didn't have enough momentum to drive it up. But then you have NVIDIA that produces the chips, right? And they're able to do that. This is not a healthy upfront. I mean, this by no means is. Here you go. So now if you look at the video, your first buy, if you really wanted to buy here, it's gonna bounce at 160, right? It's the stocks just don't go down like this, right? It's gonna go here, do some dancing, come back here, probably drop here, go bounce here, and then probably flush here. And then it arrives there, and that's probably not a bad swing buy, right? Because I'm on the longer periods. This is where you buy a couple of months worth of, of options if you want to play options or shares with the intention to hold, and you're targeting 200s. And I wouldn't use this shelf for exit, would I?
Just below it, I
No.
would think.
No, it's too small.
No,
There's a
I
lot
would
of-
use a shelf that's produced from here to the right. I want to make sure you guys are paying attention because I would look where the sellers are. This is where the buyers are.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would need,
sell-off
once this
PLC.
is developed, I would use from top to here to know where I exit. I know where I'm buying. I still don't know where I exit. It was a tricky question. Does
So
it
that
make
would be
sense?
that would be the sell-off PLC. Then you'd be looking for
I'll be
retracement.
looking for a shelf. It doesn't have to be a sell-off. I mean, if this shelf, let's say this size shelf here that you see, like this one, if that
Mhm.
shelf was
210.
somewhere here, I wouldn't be interested, I mean, I could swing here, but that's a lot.
Gotcha.
15 points, but I would look for a shelf that, a longer period. Let's say this shelf was here based on the sell-off. So just imagine this sell-off from here to here, right? So here's the sell-off POC right now. Let me just delete this easier. Than want to make sure you guys understand it. So look at this. Look at these liquidity pools that we talk about. So you had the POC, and literally this is where the game started for them. They sold it off. They really wanted to sell off here, right? They were done here. But what do you think happened here? Go back in time and see when AI Talk was first released. See if it's sometimes around beginning of February or like January, late January, February. I think it is. You will see then all these liquidity pools that you see, like for instance, you have a nice one here from the sell-off. And look how identical they are. Are they identical in size?
Mhm.
What do you think is happening there if they're identical in size and they keep going down between them?
Those
These
are
are-
actually
yeah.
industry guys selling off.
Yeah.
And same, remember when I told you guys about the master order and each one of these, it has like a little block? You guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. One block goes here, one block goes here, one block goes here, one block goes here.
Wow.
And now you have the orders. Now you know what they're selling. They have chunks sitting, they come back, sell it. They come back, sell it. It doesn't matter who's buying, they sell it. And they got rid of it. And now if they bought on the bottom, I'm just gonna redraw it because it's easier to get rid of the drawings. Now they're like, okay, well, these guys are really nice. They believe in the AI conversation and they pushed it from 100% from $100 to here, which is a 200% increase. And from October to now, they're like, okay, well, do we have any more inventory? If they do, they're gonna do what? Package it. Boop, sell it between the liquidity pools. Sell, 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 sell. And then once they come here, they're probably gonna be all out. They're gonna close their sellings. And this is where you might get some. What would you expect actually to happen here? What kind of buyers would come in here at this level now?
Long term.
This is your long-term buyers would come in at this level. This is where they put a lot of fear. People didn't want to buy it at 100, but now you have to pay the double. Right? I personally am not gonna be a buyer there. I'll give them time. I want to make sure that they fill in all the orders, right? And look at the shelf here. This is a pretty good size shelf. I wouldn't say it's tiny. but they have some, they have some stuff at 62 that they have to finish. And this is the patience game. If you want it at this 62, then I promise you'll get there. It doesn't matter what the stock is, right? It will come back to its POC. So my levels would be somewhere around here, about 65. If you wanted to kind of start a position here, just know you're going to have to average with quantity if you're going down, right? So I would never buy large quantity here and then small here because it doesn't make sense. Okay. What other tickers you guys got?
Oh, I had a
take-
question about Tesla. It's just a quick question.
Guys,
So
one second. Let me just
Okay.
get the kit. 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, no worries. I was just
Yeah, what was
wondering,
the question?
yeah, how long do you think would be I guess a safe bet for if you're gonna buy puts on Tesla? Long term at least?
I think I would say October, November on the put side.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was thinking like 6 months. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so it took them 2 months to the top. 63 business days, right? Trading days. So let's see here. So 7 times, what is this? 642 days. So probably 2-3 months you need
Oh,
on the
okay.
put side to arrive at 100. And they're selling here, obviously.
Yeah.
They're definitely not buying. So what other ones you guys got?
You do S if you have a chance.
Yep.
I don't know if you've done it already.
No, S. I did talk to my friend that's a CISO at a large company. They're excited about it, but he thinks there's a buyout coming for it. So he thinks crowd's gonna buy it actually, but that's nothing confirmed. That's his opinion, right? I think I still have it, right? I actually accumulated in this section here, but I'm gonna hold it. So, I mean, they're right above the POC. So they've been accumulating since November.
And my average is like 15 something.
No, it's not when you see where they're rejecting. I don't think it's a surprise, right? So they really need to break this, obviously the range they're in. And I would say the top of this range is somewhere around here. So the 99 is gonna be there, probably right there above. So once they break 20, they really they'll have a burst, probably, I would say. So this is a good example where you can look at this and be like, hey, where are the shelves? And you see, let me make sure it's not extending. So now if you look here, you see that the first shelf that would be of your interest maybe here, 30, but this one here is a fairly large one. So this would be the shell if you're interested at 35. If your average is 15, now think about it, right? That's a pretty good return.
Appreciate it.
I have this. My average is a little bit higher, like 23-ish, 22. So, but I'm sitting on it.
Could you tell it?
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us your plan for Zscaler again?
Yep. So here's Zscaler. I was actually bringing it up. So Zscaler came back to a demand, right? And they bounced it right from it. A huge gap. If you guys look at Zscaler here, it's probably going to bounce right here, like 107-ish, 105. If you don't have shares, I mean, I have shares. I sold some. This should be a decent level for a pullback. The value area low of this up run is kind of like right in the middle of the gap. So they could fill it here. People get excited by puts and then they run it higher. But this is not a bad position right here to exit. And I think they did tap almost 120 here. Yeah, they took that liquidity here perfectly and they went to almost 120. Yeah. So the idea was, if you guys recall, for I don't know how many months, I kept saying anything in 100s for Zscaler almost always gave you minimum 10%. And that happened multiple times here. It bounced here again. And then they dipped it here, but then we had a huge overnight gap here. I don't know how many dollars that was, about $20 gap, and the contracts went crazy. So I'm buying this anywhere close to 100 just because I know how much people are using them, and I know they're a really good company in the security space. And with everything that's going on with the hacks and everything that's happening, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they go to 140 by the time earnings come, 130 here. I think that's where they're headed. I still have some options, not many. For 125, I believe it's July or June. So anytime it's close to 100, I'm going to be a buyer.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else?
So Shorty, did you go over Sentinel-1 yet?
Yeah, we just did now.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we just covered Sentinel. So, I mean, if the average is around 15, that's great. If it's below that, which we didn't get too many opportunities at 12-ish, I would say for me personally, I might average down in this range here. When the value hits the bottom somewhere, I might be interested in buying that.
Okay.
Anywhere in the 15, you're going to get probably a $2 bounce every time. So notice now we made lower highs here and bounce off of the POC. So they're really not interested in auctioning this higher for now. So I think they're headed back to 15. I think swing entry here is not a bad idea. And then the next one would be the shelf here that I'm looking for. I'll probably add, if I can catch something below 15 to average down and bring my average down, I'll probably do that.
Do you like
MMM? Yeah, we'll cover that one too. I added some share. I didn't add 3 million worth of shares. I bought 3 company guys.
Dude, I saw that. I was like, 3 million. This guy's balling.
No, I didn't buy 3. That would be putting all the eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I honestly think they're, if we can catch 10%, you could sell it. But the guys, they pay really good dividends. I mean, this is a pretty good dividends that you can catch on this. I mean, just think about it. If you have 100 shares, you get 100 shares times $1.50 a quarter. I mean, that's pretty good, man. Just do some math, and let's say you do a drip method on it. Over a period of time, you will do well, and let's hope they do some splits. That would do great for you. All right. Does everybody know what a drip is?
A what?
A drip method.
No. What is
No.
it?
Anyone else?
You get the dividends, you put them back in.
You get the dividends, and you automatically tell the system, go buy the shares.
Do they do that with Zim?
No, this is for individual people, not, I don't know about Zim. You can do it with every stock. I mean, I don't know. Zim is the one to lose on.
It's the people itself that do it.
What ticker
Yeah,
was
so-
that you was just looking at?
This is 3M. This is a company that has a bunch of products in their portfolio,
Mhm.
right? They're not going anywhere. I guarantee you this company is not going to go. They have a lawsuit that they're part of right now, right? You know, if they go to 42, I guarantee you, I might pull a larger order on it if that ever happens. But just think why they're bouncing in this area right here. This is almost like their support retest, right? Flip right here. Look at that. They
Yeah.
came back, and now this is a major level. Remember how we, stop visit certain levels? Well, here you go. Who would have thought that a 3M company that's exploding, right, is going to revisit their breakout level? Here it is, all the way from, I mean, it lost, look at the market cap that it lost, 62%. So for me, personally, this is a good value buy, right? If you think about the discount and the premium, right? I'm buying at a discount now. I'm buying at a quarter discount because this would be the 50% would be here between this and this. Look where we were buying. Does that make sense? I don't want to confuse anyone. Does that make sense, everybody? Like I am
Yeah.
buying at a discount of this here,
Yes, yes, yes.
quarter bottom of it. So that's why I got 3M shares. That's why I was interested in buying them at 100. And I know they have a lawsuit here, but I don't care. They're gonna try. Think about it. All these news come out when the stock is at below value, and when something, it's just the value areas, right? When the stock goes away from the value, either it's gonna be accepted, let's say on the upper side above the value, or it's gonna be rejected. When it's rejected and they're trying to bracket it, what do you think the news are? They're bad. When it's on the bottom and they want more shares, what do you think the news will be?
Good.
They're gonna be bad.
And they all
they
have
don't
insurance anyway.
they don't want to compete with you guys.
Hey, Shorty, the
Yeah.
one thing I'm noticing when we're looking at this chart and you're looking at the bottoms, you seem to have a big sell-off and a big green spike at the bottom.
This one here?
Whereas, no, look back in time. See at the bottom of every one of these peaks, like we got the big spike down. I don't know if that was COVID or whatnot.
Oh, you're talking about like this one here and then.
Yeah, but then, and you look at the very lows, you seem to get a big volume spike there, driving it up for the run up. And I'm not, and you also see a volume spike going down. I'm not seeing that here in 3M. That's the only thing that seems a little different.
You're not seeing it here?
No, I see that one there. But if you look at the other ones, they happen like on this monthly chart almost the day before. See, like you got two things there and then you fly up.
Yep. No, but well, you did some flying here. You reversed. I mean, from 108, you reversed it to 133. So they did buy back up, right? I don't think it's the same quantity, but I'm not seeing a lot of selling either.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing them confirming the sell-off right now. And if they, I mean, honestly, if they go to 80, I'll buy here as well. They won't have my shares, what I'm indicating for. This is this is going to be a 10, 15 year hold for me. I don't even look at the portfolio when I buy stuff like this.
It's that good, huh?
I mean, companies that like, I don't know if you guys know. Do you guys know their brands?
Absolutely.
Guys, this is, I mean, this is a mammoth, like.
Oh, wow.
They produce a lot, and their financials are steady. This is a cash cow. And the more people become lazier, guess what? You want to hang a picture and you don't know how to drill a hole? Don't worry, we have a tape for you.
Yeah.
They also have surgical masks and such like that.
Man, guys, they have a
Everything.
lot.
Dividends are good.
I mean, they pay $1.50 per stock per quarter.
Wow.
I think it's almost 6%.
It's not
It
bad.
is 6%, 4 times 1.5 over the stock, 6 divided by 100. The yield is 6%, man. This is a good stock.
Shit, that's good.
So what I did when I started, trading, and this is just an idea, because I'm not telling you do this. what I would do is, let's say I had a short-term portfolio where I was trading stocks, and once you start making money, become profitable. This is how I paid myself. If let's say you're in Toss or Ameritrade or Fidelity, a majority of my money's actually in Fidelity, the large chunk of it, right? I have Toss, but a lot of it is in Fidelity. When I started, I opened an account, checking account along with the investments account. Anytime I made money on the short-term trades, I would take that, withdraw it to my checking. From checking, I would fund it to the long-term portfolio and buy shares. I know you don't believe it, but you buy 1, 2 per week. There's 52 weeks, and you buy whatever it was allowed to buy. If I was accumulating, let's say T, I would buy, let's say I made $400, I paid myself $200, I would buy $200 worth of T stock. And of course, I would not look to buy, I would look at the chart and I would not buy it at 33 when I know that it has a chance or a setup to go lower. I would wait. Once the price comes close to it, I buy it. And then I would keep doing that cycle where I take my short-term gains and convert them to long-term investments. And eventually, I promised you, eventually it adds up. And if you can make, let's say you reach a point where you're making, monthly dividends of, let's say, a couple of grand, guys, that's pretty good.
So Shorty, let's say you had $1,000 right now and you wanted to start investing in something and you put it in that 3M, that would be good to start with?
Well, you want to spread that, right? If you want to start growing a portfolio, you want a little bit of diversification. Like this one is a good one. I added some T as well. I think Ryzen is a solid one. I think Ryzen is right, and this is actually set up for a swing entry here now.
So like 300, 300, 300, or 200, 200, 200.
Yeah, I mean, you just split it up based on, the weighted average, right? So if a $100 stock, you can't buy 10 of them because you used up all of it. 20% would be 2 stocks of that one. And then if you want to buy some, let's say Verizon, take 200 divided by 37. I don't know, you'll get 6, 7 stocks here. And you keep if you want to keep it same average, you buy some and accumulate it more. And this one also pays dividends, right? So this one pays 65 cents a quarter. So, and that's what I do, right? And if you guys think about dividends, sometimes or over the past 15 years, beat the capital gains if you had a larger quantity. Just think about Warren Buffett. On Friday, he just got cashed out $250 billion by Apple on dividends.
Jesus.
Right. So, and people say, well, he has so much money, so it makes sense for him. But if you never start, you'll never have any.
That's true.
Right. And
Shorty,
just like,
I'm fairly new, but I got the gist of your take on Bitcoin. What if we have some already and we're just a little red? Do you have any advice on that? I know your take on it.
Yeah, I don't give advice, but this is all I can tell you right here.
Yeah, I just want your opinion, not advice. Thank you.
So I honestly think this is headed to 10 to 12,000 here. So whatever your position is, I don't know if there's an inverse of this little guy, but this guy's in trouble. And I think there's a
So it's good to
geopolitical
get
risk.
out now rather than later, sooner rather than later.
But that would be your call, right? So I mean, I'm giving you what the chart's telling me. If they can't break this 31 with, let's say, by end of May, first week of June, they're gonna be hitting 19, and then if they're not able to hold that like they did last time here, I'll give you a chart and you be your judge where it's gonna go.
Okay, thank you.
And 9,300 is just waiting. And I don't have any Bitcoin, guys. I don't trade in it. I felt like
I know
for a
your
long
opinion.
time, I really do believe this was a strategic, conversation is that we're going to get rid of the dollar, right? The monies, and then they're going to find a new currency. And if this currency is not controlled by US, I will state this with the fact it will not survive. It doesn't matter what kind of coin and who's behind it. If it's not US owned, it will not survive. Yes, other countries have plans on this, but US has built, if they can't take away your currency by political reasons, what do you think they do? Like we have political and, democracy or diplomat way. What do you think the US will make sure that happens? They're gonna destroy you. They will come for you.
They'll steal it.
They
Yep.
will come for you, I promise. They will come and make sure that your currency is not as strong. And then when you look at the dollar, well, look where we are bouncing. Anyone surprised? Look at this bounce right here. 50%, right on the money. They're not gonna let the dollar go away. Let me show you 3-month chart. Here's your 3-month chart. You really want to short this? Be my guest. I don't short this right here. Look how long that consolidation happened here. Just let me extend it. They popped, they failed, they failed, they failed, and now they popped, and now they're holding it. Their next liquidity draw is right here at 121. That would destroy other currencies. Let's not talk about this here. And remember that what happened at this period, does anyone know? Does anyone have an idea what happened in
was
1980s?
87, wasn't that when we topped out at the stock market? It hit 3,000 on the NASDAQ, I think it was.
Do you guys remember who was the Fed chair here? Or maybe you were not born. I don't know.
Bernanke?
Anyone else? Have you ever heard of Walker or Walker? I can't pronounce his name.
I was a baby.
Yeah, you're a baby. So there was a guy called Walker. Yeah, he's the one that initiated a lot of interest rate increases. When the interest goes up, the dollar strengthens, right? The market falls, and now, I mean, our interest rates is higher than this period here. I don't, personally, I don't think they did it right on the interest rates with the 25, 50s and whatever. They should have came aggressive to kill it. Now they're stuck in a big problem. They need the dollar stronger, but they can't kill because, you have, what is it, KRE? You have banks failing one after another, right? So they can't keep increasing. And now people are speculating. This is a pure speculation. Hey, we want to buy the dip on the banks. Well, sure, you can go ahead and buy it, but we're nowhere close to done. These banks are not done falling yet. So, I mean, there's not even enough volume here to justify where they're going to buy it. Like they're below the value area low here. So let me just go.
Wow.
I know I saw you guys talk, but look where the POC is. Look where the value area low is. Look where your 95 is.
It's amazing how you can see everything through the chart, man.
This is where I buy. You guys, you're welcome to buy this gap protection here. They're gonna slice through this. Next bank fails, come back to 20. Might be a buyer here at 20. Here's your 3-month candles. Do you really think they accumulated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months here for 2 candles? I don't believe that. Something seems fishy here.
Is that a leveraged or is that just a regular?
A regular. Look at this. They knew about this crisis before COVID. A lot changed in this period, guys. When the act came out, the FINRA and all of those, a lot changed here. They didn't really, they protected it, they took them away, and then the banks went in to take your money from the deposits and they invested it in places that I guess they didn't calculate about how aggressive the rates will be, but here you go. And who do you think is buying right here? Trend line, trend line, trend line. So yeah, I mean they can bounce this, right? But if I'm buying this for long-term hold, I'm not interested here. I know it sounds greedy, but I'm a greedy bastard when it comes to buying. I'll buy here. And let me just-
Realistically, though, Shorty, how long do you think it's going to actually take before they go up? I mean, we're probably going to have a few more banks failing.
I
until
think
they
you're gonna
start
have
cutting
4
rates,
more
right?
giant banks by June end.
Is that when you anticipate us to be at the low, or what kind of time frame are you speculating?
Well, the dominoes started, right? And then when you think about the debt limit, right? They're gonna sign that, right? All this talk is for them to create news, scare people. They're gonna sign the debt limit increase, right? There'll be some provisions in it, but they're gonna sign it, right? And then they're gonna. This is now this conversation you guys are hearing in the news. And I'm just telling you my opinion. This is already starting the talks for re-election. This is now, hey, who's here for American people? Who's making sure the government is funded properly? Republicans are showing their cards that they want a conservative, balanced budget, right? Is that the news? And then Democrats are like signing right now. This is a problem, and this is all a game, right? So now, when the Treasury runs out of money, they won't be able to fund any of these banks. Let's say even for a couple of days, if it's delayed. Remember, we had the shutdown in the government a couple of years back when the parks were closed, federal did not report to work. Do you guys recall that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
this is a version 2. They're gonna make it a little bit more hectic. These are gonna sell off, and then you have people in the Congress that are gonna be like, oh man, look, we're gonna sign the bill. What do we do here? Well, somehow Nancy Pelosi and a few others will get a nod, and they're gonna be buying at $20. And then here comes a huge relief package. We pump the banks out. Basically, you're going to bail out all the financial system, which is going to be bailed out by JP Morgan. It's much easier for Fed to deal with consolidated number of banks than it is to deal with 180 different banks and regulations to be applied and be standardized. Imagine if JP Morgan owns a lot of these banks and they can just manage the cash flow, the inputs and outputs. We have 5-6 banks, large ones. If the 5 large banks can cover the 80-20 rule, meaning 80% of deposits within 4 banks, imagine how much easier Fed's job is going to be on managing that cash reserve and everything else. They minimizes the costs, right? It's much easier to deal with, and Jamie's buying these companies penny on a dollar. I mean, he bought the last bank on 25 cents on the dollar on the asset side. So JP Morgan already made $10 billion just off the acquisition. So I think there's a bigger picture, a bigger idea in play. I think the Feds will let the banks fail here. If they fail, they're going to come somewhere around here. And that's, I honestly think June and May go away, I think is in full effect. And I think by June and maybe even July, we're going to come here and I'll be a buyer here. This is not something you want to buy when you look at let's look at the monthly candles. You just broke this consolidation here. You have a little bit of volume from here, right? And we're below it, so 29-ish. This has path to go all the way down to this 20, guys. So I'm not interested in this really. Not yet. Now look at JPM, for instance. It's consolidating here, so let's see what happens, right? We have a big shelf. Ideally, 99 is not a bad entry. And even below that, you have this huge consolidation here. This is where POC will be. Doesn't matter what you grab. $40. So they have a long ways to go on the markets, but I think this will be the strongest bank. Okay. What else do you guys have? All right. Well, Happy Mother's Day again to all of you, and I'm gonna go enjoy some time with my wife. Take her out for lunch or brunch. I will see tonight. Let's see how we open. I'll probably schedule maybe a 15-minute touch base on ES. So I'll write up the notes if that doesn't happen, to make sure we're prepared for Monday, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Shorty.
Thanks, Jody.
Thank
Enjoy.
you.
You guys have a good
Thanks so much, Shorty.
Thank you.
Have a good Mother's Day, everyone.
Have a good
Thank
one,
you, you
guys.
too.